Welcome to Ready, Set, Renovate. We're doing a 10-part series on condo living. Remodeling a condo is different than remodeling a house, and we're bringing on guests all across the upstate of South Carolina to tell us about it. Whether you've been in a condo for 20 plus years or you're looking to purchase one, we invite you to join us as we answer your questions. Let's get to it. On this episode of Ready, Set, Renovate, we have Mike Burrell. Mike is a real estate attorney for Holiday Ingram Law Firm. On this episode, he's going to talk a little bit about real estate law and how it applies to condos specifically. So let's get to it. Well, Mike, thanks for coming on.
My
Looking
pleasure.
Forward to this conversation.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Why don't we start here? Just tell us a little bit about yourself and
Okay.
what you do on a day-to-day basis.
So I am a native South Carolinian, grew up in Kershaw County, right outside of a little town called Camden. I went to Wofford College over in Spartanburg and got my degree in economics there, and then from there went to Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama to get my law degree at Cumberland School of Law. Have been living and practicing in Anderson for 35 years. I have two daughters, Meriwether and Sarah Beth. They're 26 and 29, live in the Charleston area. So that's sort of my life story in a nutshell, yeah.
Now, you've been practicing law, obviously, for a long time, real
Right.
estate law.
Correct.
And this series that we're doing is on condos.
Okay.
So what differences are there between condo real estate and just some high-level differences and regular real estate?
With condominiums, there is a whole statute under the South Carolina Code of Laws. It's the South Carolina Horizontal Property Act. So in order to legally form a condominium complex, you have to follow all the guidelines of that act. And the main thing that you have to do as part of that is to prepare and file what's called a master deed. And that just sort of sets out the units, where they're being built, how many units they're going to be, what the ownership rights are to each condo owner, what the common areas are, the common elements, the percentages that are, again, owned by each unit. With regular real estate, we're talking about single-family residences. Obviously, there is land involved with that. Sure. When you purchase a home, you're buying the land and any attachments to it, mainly the home or any outbuildings, that type of thing. Whereas with a condominium, you're just buying the unit.
What exactly do you own when you purchase a condo?
Okay, so when you buy a condo, and again, the ownership rights are going to be set out in that master deed. And that master deed will be recorded in the Register of Deeds office for whatever county the condominium building is located in. You're going to own a percentage of what's called common elements, the common areas. So whether that's the parking, whether that's the walkways to get you to your unit, hallways, interior hallways, elevators if they have such, pool, tennis courts, depending on whatever amenities they may have, you're going to own a percentage of that along with basically interior walls. So you own the unit itself from the walls in. Mm-hmm. Typically, the legal description will be that unit number of that condominium. And then you'll have additional language that'll say also an interest in the common areas as prescribed or set out in the master deed.
When there's an issue with some of those areas that you mentioned outside of the actual unit, do you pick up the tab as far as repair work and maintenance? Yes,
so you're going to have typically a monthly assessment or quarterly, however the HOA or the regime handles those things, that takes care of any maintenance issues, anything with regards to those common areas. Yes, you will have responsibility for that based on your, again, percentage of ownership of them. Correct.
What does purchasing a condo look like as far as what you're looking for in that title deed search and things you're kind of keeping your eye on to see if this is actually going to work as far as a deal goes? Well,
I mean, obviously, we're going to need to do a title search to make sure there's clear title to the property, just like you do with a single-family residence. And make sure all the paperwork is filed correctly as far as to meet all the requirements, again, of the South Carolina Horizontal Property Act. Make sure there's a master's deed, all of that filed. But mainly, yeah, we need to make sure there's a title search, everything's good, there's no liens filed against the property. Make sure that...
and what could trigger a possible lien against the property?
You know, if the owner of the unit hasn't paid their HOA dues, sometimes the HOA will file liens against the unit. You know, and just as with any typical ownership of property, if you have any judgments filed against you, mortgages, things like that, all of that are going to be picked up on that title search.
Well, you touched briefly on the HOA, and in this case, maybe it should be COA, condo.
Well, yeah, or POA, or however, yeah.
Well, what role do they play when it comes to purchasing a condo? Can they not approve the sale of a condo?
Well, typically in the master deed, there may be language in there that says that the homeowners association, POA, whatever, has the right to purchase that property. They have a first right of refusal, as it's called. And so that gives them the authority or the right to buy the property if it's placed on the market. So what would occur is then notice would have to be given to the HOA. They have so many days then to respond to that notice. And if they decide not to purchase, then the HOA would have to sign and file a waiver of that first right to purchase.
Really
with
good
the
insight.
Register of Deeds. Yes.
Yeah, that's some really interesting law concerning the condo purchase. Tell us more about laws that may be changing. You know, I know laws never seem to stay the same forever. But what are you seeing as far as potential changes?
The first thing that really comes to my mind is, you know, the short-term rental market is really, you know, taking off over the last few years. And I think, you know, we're going to see, which we already have, some tightening of that a little bit as far as allowing that or not allowing short-term rentals. So I think we're going to see, you know, maybe if it's allowed, maybe certain periods of time, say minimum of 30 days or once a month or not at all. I'm even seeing that with in certain subdivisions, you know, especially around the lake that are very popular for rentals. Those restrictions and covenants now are being changed to either limit or totally do away with or not allow short-term rentals. So I think we're going to see some more of that, especially with condominiums, because you know typically you know, people do especially if it's a second home, they have a condominium they use as for vacation purposes or whatever. They're going to want to rent that to offset those costs.
Sure.
But then the HOA, or you know, they may come back in and say, well, you can do that, but the time to do it would be limited.
That's really interesting because, you know, with the rise of VRBO, less people are actually living or staying in hotels and stuff. I think the big option is going to a condo or a home when you vacation or something.
Exactly.
So that definitely impacts those matters. All right, well, tell us a little bit about how some of our clients or people watching can get in touch with you and if they are looking to buy or sell their condo.
Right. Well, I've practiced residential real estate closings and a little bit of commercial as well, again, for about 35 years. I was the sole practitioner for years in Anderson. And then 3 years ago, I merged with a firm. Their main office is here in Greenville called Holiday Ingram. So the office in Anderson is now under that umbrella, and I'm the managing attorney for that office. So we're located at 608 North McDuffie Street in Anderson. Also,
not far from the Daniel Builders office.
That's exactly right. And your family have been clients for years and known them for a long time. But yeah, Holiday Ingram has offices in Greenville. Again, the main office is here. Anderson, Spartanburg, Summerville, and Powdersville. So we try to serve South Carolina as best we can with that.
Well, Mike, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
You shared some really rich content here when it comes to real estate law and how that applies to condos.
Yeah, my pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Do you own a condo or are interested in remodeling a condo? We at Daniel Builders can help you. Reach out to us at danielbuilders.com. We'd love the opportunity to talk. So if you'd like to be the next guest on our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at info@danielbuilders.com.